All right, we are back to work in the garage, and as you can see, we have the Team Calamari hat on, and that's because we are back to work on the YSR50 today. So if you saw last time in the last video, we got this thing running, and we finally got the first ride in after pretty much rebuilding the entire engine with crank seals, resealing the cylinder, and checking everything from bottom to top end and that. We got the motor dialed, and I said that we had a bunch of parts on standby, kind of pushed to the side on this project, just waiting for this thing to run right because the motor was just giving so many issues. So I didn't want to throw anything on until we knew for sure this thing was running good. And now it's running good, boys. With the new clutch in there, new seals and everything in the engine, the motor is dialed. It's time to finally get to work on the rest of the bike. First thing being putting the kickstand on, because we got a kickstand finally, and this thing has been pushed around all over the house and the backyard and the garage for months now, kind of leaning against something. So we're going to be putting a kickstand on as well as a bunch of other goodies. But in order to do so, we're going to have to strip the whole bike down in the front end again and pretty much get this thing back to bare bones yet again to get these parts on. And here we have a bunch of Team Calamari goodies. As you know, we've been doing a partnership with Team Calamari for this whole project. Team Calamari, Zumas R Us, the best place and the only place really to get the parts that you need for these YSR projects. So here we have basically an entire front end deal plus the kickstand. Like I said, this is the most important for me right now because I'm so tired of pushing this bike around and leaning against random objects in the garage. So we're gonna throw that on first. But besides that, boys, we have everything you need for a full front end rebuild on the forks with fork seals, the fork covers, a fork spring, which is surprising because YSR only has one spring, I guess. We're gonna get more into that in a little bit. Some fork oil. Really excited for these. These are clamp-on bars for the YSR. As you can see here, they are a little bit different on here. We actually look like we have a bend going on in this bar itself. This one looks pretty bent. This bar itself's looking like it's got a bend going on right here under the switch. So these ones look pretty long too. Interesting. A bit longer of a stance. We might be able to trim them, we'll see. But we got clip-on style bars for that, as well as a fork brace that goes on the front. This one I'm really excited about. This is the triple tree up top. This is all CNC work done by Team Calamari. Super clean, these parts do. And then these, which I'm really not too sure about, these will go on the top of the fork. And I believe it's to actually change the pressure of the rebound. Air balance. That one we're going to be learning together. I've never really redone a fork set like this, so this will be the first time doing that. I'm going to start stripping this thing apart, try to get this thing on some type of motor stand or something that we can get the front end floating, and then we'll go from there, boys. Take all this off, and we might have to pop the exhaust off to get this thing sitting flat on a good surface to be able to drop this whole fork assembly out. First thing we're gonna look into is this damn kickstand. So let's get this thing figured out. I'm assuming this one's for this bottom one. Man, well, it gets all covered up. The pretty logo gets all covered up. We're gonna put this bad boy on there. Well, I'll be damned. We finally got a kickstand, boys. That's crazy. Even though we just put the kickstand on, we're gonna be putting this bike lift underneath it. So we gotta take the exhaust off in order to do that. I basically put the kickstand on and then we don't even get to use the kickstand. We have the bike floating in the air now, so we are gonna pretty much just start stripping everything from the handlebars and the forks. That being said, time to strip this front end apart. Get all this throttle taken apart. We also have a brand new throttle to put on too, but I think I'm gonna wait to put that on until we do carb work and everything, because we got a carb to throw on as well, boys. All right, we have the YSR completely torn apart. As you can see, we are missing the entire front end off of here because, well, we have everything brand new. So we have disassembled the whole front end basically, and here stands one fork tube. And let me take this out because how the YSR works is there's only one spring in the forks itself. So I was wondering why it only came with one, and after doing some research, it only has one spring, and this is the one with the spring. As you can tell, I don't know if you can see it on there, but deep inside of there, there's a bolt, and behind that bolt is the spring. So we're gonna have to remove that bolt and then pop that out, which we already took out our C-clip and everything here to actually replace the fork seal. I'll show you again on this one when we take it apart, but basically once you remove this dust cover, which we also have OEM ones to put on because these are just thrashed. These things are, everything's like 30 years old on this bike. So this one, obviously it does not have the spring in it. So we're gonna dump out the fork oil, kind of take everything apart, pop these seals out, and then rebuild them. Let's see how much fork oil is actually in these. Oh, that's a decent amount actually. 30-year-old oil. It has I wish you can describe the smell. All right, with the dust cover removed, you can see in here that there is a big circlip in here. So there we go. There's like this little washer, and then we have the actual fork seal. So get that removed. Now, this might go splash, I don't know, but that's how you're supposed to remove the fork seal, supposedly. Stay tuned, hold on. Okay. We're gonna, Alright. Per Oregon Adventure, he just hits it with the couple ugga-duggas. Oh, see, oh, okay. Oh, it made a mess too. Okay. Let me get this. I feel like I need leverage. I feel like this has to be up and under there. I'm gonna tear the whole house down with this one. God, that's an awkward grip. But I think I got it. Oh yeah, I got it. Yep, here she comes. We do it anyways, ready? Boom! With a clean execution. Did you see that? That was professional. I thought we were getting oil everywhere. Not today. That is what we will be replacing as soon as we can roughly get this off. Boom. These bad boys were leaking everywhere. I noticed when we first brought the bike down to Vegas, we had it strapped down in the front of the truck, and the amount of fork oil that seeped out through the dust covers and all that area was crazy. So it looks like we got a little bit more fork oil. We're gonna clean that up nice too. All right, we are now removing the bolt that holds in the actual fork spring here out of the single fork. So pretty sure this is probably gonna be under a load. Oh, there it goes. Yep, I felt the load. Okay, let's get that. Oh, a little heavier than I expected. Alright. Not bad, I thought it was going to be soaking. Pop up. There she goes. Alright. Oh, there's that other piece. Okay, I see the other piece down there too. This seal is toasted. Holy moly. That's the other piece. Please read carefully before installing. Big caution. Forks can hydraulic lock if wrong amount of weight of oil is used. There's specific amounts for each side. Slowly, why am I still wearing gloves? So there's no spring on the right hand fork, only on the left hand side one. This is the OEM spring that came out of it. It's shorter because it has a retaining clip which threads a bit into the fork. Now we have the longer one, which is going to go in the right side fork here. Well, we won't have a retaining clip for that one, which I didn't see in this kit. So interesting. And then we also have these air balancing top caps for the forks as well. So we'll get everything kind of placed together. We have to be very careful on the exact amount of fork oil. I read that a couple times in the instructions. That's very, very important. So we'll make sure we do that. We got our new fork seals, get those ready, get those locked into there. We'll do what the homie in the video did and use the jack handle to get these fork seals in. For the left fork, we need 125 cc's of oil. That is the fork that already had the spring in it. So we're gonna assembling that one first. So we're gonna do 125 cc's, which is the same as milliliters. So 125 would be right between that line. And we'll get that filled up, drop the spring in. Nice and lubed up in there. Jack handle fits perfectly over it. All right, now that we got the new seal in there, we got the circlip back on with the new fork seal. We can throw our new dust cover on and actually fill this thing up with oil right now. Set this all back up and do the exact same thing for this side now. This is the side now that we are upgrading to have a spring. This is the right-hand side, the one with the actual brake mount. Now this will have a spring. Drop that bad boy in there as well. Get it all set up. That's gonna be with this tip pointed up, and then obviously the spring sits recessed onto that. So get it thrown in, and then we got our 110 millimeters of fork oil right here for the right-hand side. All right, it is time that we finally install the pretty little parts that we got sitting on the side over here. We got both the forks rebuilt, so we can slide the forks into there, and we're gonna put on our new pretty triple tree that's gonna sit right in here like so. That thing's gonna be shining. Roughly line these bad boys up. We'll adjust all the bars later. I'm kind of just getting everything set on there right now. Installed basically everything for the front end now. We have our fork brace, which is mounted on there. As you can see, big old Team Calamari on that thing down there. And then going up, we got the triple tree all mounted with our compression fork caps, I believe they're called, the whatever you want to call it, the compression style fork caps. And then we got our clamp-on bars. Now these clamp-on bars are super long compared to the stock ones. Our bent stock bars, which actually both sides were bent, as you can tell. Unless they come with, no, I doubt it. I bet that's a bend. But as you can tell, they're a lot longer. I made it about ½ inch longer with the new ones, but I'm gonna cut about 2 inches off. So they're a little longer than the stock ones. They won't be too long like that, because that's awkward right now how long they are. So take our angle grinder, and we're gonna chop those bad boys off. Come and hit it with the file. It should be good to go. You could have also like slid them in a little here, which I did, but it looks really ugly when they're sticking out this direction over here. So cut the other one off, we'll be good to go. We have the YSR complete now with the whole front end rebuild, getting rid of all these old bent crusty pieces that were on here. Look at this one. That one's obviously a little bit more bent here, but these were also sketchy. If you take a look at these are only held on basically by the top cap of your fork, and then one little 6 millimeter bolt that goes right here, and that originally would go there, and then the clamp-ons actually clamp to the fork, as you can see here. So, and then we have obviously another clamp here, which is just to adjust the bars, and you can pull those in, etc., or do what I did and just cut them. But yeah, these stock ones are literally held on by like that. There's no actual shock clamp. Kind of sketchy. So got rid of those bad boys, and then we also have the triple clamp. So here is the stock mounting point for them, and then this would be for your key ignition. This kind of hoop holds in your key ignition. This one's all recessed into here, has the bolts reverse mounted in there. They're super clean. And then we obviously have the shock top caps here, adjustable ones. So I'm not sure exactly how to dial these in yet. I know they have like a pressure valve on them, so you can actually put pressure into them, but we'll have to see how that goes, look more into that. But with the fork upgrade we did, I should have done a little suspension dealio before we took it apart. But now it's still soft as should be, but like the rebound a lot better. And obviously that's without the pressure that we could put in it. I got to look more into that, like I said, and see exactly how that works, because I've never had adjustable shocks like that. So on this side, the most important thing, finally leave this bike in the garage and not have to lean against something, is the kickstand. So we figured out that this bigger knob it came with was obviously so you can access the kickstand. I was wondering why it had two. One's for the spring, one's to grab it. So nice, way too over engineered for a kickstand. This thing is way too pretty, but you'll never see it, and it looks good. But everything looks so dialed up here. And then finally we got the front fender to actually clear on our fork brace. I was a little confused on this fork brace at first because it kept wanting to sit below here. There's a little lip right here on the actual shock, but I figured out that the top part sits right above the dust covers, so it latched around there perfect. And as you can see, there is literally barely any clearance. I kind of had to trim the fender a little bit to make it clear, but I wanted to run the front fender because it looks so ugly without it to me. So we got that able to fit, and yeah, we need to get some new tires on this thing. This thing's pretty bad. And it's finally time that we get this bike moving like this, because we've had parts sitting on the sidelines for a minute. And as you saw when we first picked this thing up, it was beat and it was missing a bunch of parts, and we were able to figure that out, get the motor running. Then we had to rebuild the whole motor, and now it's time to rebuild the whole bike. So we're actually gonna be stripping this thing down and doing some frame modifications and some swing arm modifications next time, which will require us probably painting this whole frame and getting it all cleaned up. So it will eventually look like a brand new bike. I know you can see some of the rust down here right now, but she will be all sorts of pretty. We still have to rebuild our front brake master reservoir and put the front brake on. That's one of the final things we have to do for the bike itself. Other than that, it's all just modifications after that. And I know we saw this last time, but we threw a new chain on. We got the new clutch in there. We even got a new clutch cable and resealed the entire engine. So right now, this thing is a solid platform. It is finally time to do a lot of the major upgrades for this. One is going to be interesting, which is the swing arm, because we're going to have to take this whole swing arm out and we're actually going to be welding it on. That's how the reinforcement is for these. So that'll be interesting to do. Need to repaint the swing arm and probably a bunch of other little pieces that are kind of just showing some age and some rust on this bike. This thing is from 1989, so this thing is over 30 years old. It's not bad condition for being 30 years old. This just looks so good up here now. We even put the little cover back on around the Speedo, so she looks pretty. All right, boys, that is going to do it for the YSR for this video. We got a bunch of goodies thrown on, and this thing's looking brand new. We still have a bunch of other parts to put on, and next time it's going to be a lot of modifications to the actual bike itself and not just bolting on parts. So thank you again to Team Calamari, Zumas Are Us. The link in the description down below, you can click that and save some money on your parts for your YSR50. So check that out. They also have Zuma parts and a bunch of other parts on their website. So make sure you check that out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.